So when we're driving to a scene and we have our emergency lights on, basically the idea is that we are requesting the right of way from other vehicles on the road. So the ambulances do not automatically get right of way at intersections and stuff. So when we come up to an intersection where we don't have the right of way, like a stop sign or a red light, we have to come to a complete stop and make sure that the other traffic is yielding the right of way to us, and then we can proceed through. So ambulances are generally allowed to go up to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit in Idaho. And because of that, you might think that they are specially designed to go faster. That is not correct. They are not designed really to go any faster. They're heavier, they have increased stopping distance, they're trucks, so their suspension is taller, and they've got a great big aluminum box on the back, so the center of gravity of these things is higher, and so there's an increased rollover danger. So basically, they are not designed to go particularly fast, and so you have to use an abundance of caution driving with emergency lights. When you're picking your route, try and avoid especially congested areas, and especially avoid school zones. So around 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon is a bad time to be going near schools. Again, we're allowed to exceed the speed limit by up to 10 miles an hour, but sometimes that's not going to be a safe speed. So we always are just going to use whatever speed is safe to get there. So it doesn't take but crashing one ambulance and all of a sudden we've turned one emergency into multiple emergencies, and so that's really something that we need to avoid at all costs. Talk about the golden hour real quick. So when we have a patient that's got some critical injury, multiple studies have shown that that patient has the best chance for a good outcome if they get definitive treatment within an hour. And so definitive treatment is different based on whatever their injury or illness is. So if they have a cardiac issue like a heart attack, maybe they need to get to a cardiac cath lab within an hour. If they've got multiple broken bones, they need to get to a trauma surgeon within an hour. So from time of dispatch to when we get on scene is approximately 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. Then we get another 10 minutes on scene to do our assessment and load the patient. Another few minutes of travel to a hospital, and then we're ideally get somebody to the hospital ER within a half hour. And then the next half hour is the ER's time to get them stabilized and prepped for whatever the next treatment is that they need. And then hopefully they get to their definitive treatment within that hour. So coming back to the hospital, usually we're not going to come lights and sirens back. So once we've encountered a patient and know what their injury or illness is and know that they're not dying in front of us, then we can usually take a little bit more time coming back. So we usually only gain about 30 seconds to a minute running lights and sirens versus not running lights and sirens. So often it's just not worth it. The times when we do come back lights and sirens from within Moscow anyway, or where there's some threat to life or limb, or the patient significantly worsening in condition. So things like strokes where time is brain, things like heart attacks where brain is heart or time is heart muscle. Those are times when you should consider running lights and sirens back to the hospital. Even when we're doing that, though, we can't drive typically at the plus 10 of the speed limit that we're allowed, because it'd be too hard to actually do care in the back of the ambulance in that case. So Typically, even running lights and sirens coming back, we're going to be doing the speed limit at best, and the lights just help us get through intersections where we don't have the right of way, like red lights. So it's a real gentle code coming back if we're doing that. We'll get to the hospital and we're going to do our patient handoff. So we'll tell the nurses who the patient is, what's happening, what treatments we've done since the radio report. And we're going to spend the next half hour to hour writing our report and cleaning and resupplying the ambulance. And so the ambulance gets a good cleaning after every call, and that way we don't transmit diseases from one patient to the next. After that, we'll refuel the ambulance, put more diesel in it if necessary. We keep the ambulances up 3/4 of a tank at all times. That gives us enough fuel to go for out-of-town transports up to Spokane or Coeur d'Alene. And then if we don't get any more calls while we're out with the ambulance, we'll return it and park it at the station. So another kind of operations businessy item, we do truck checks on each ambulance to make sure that all the needed supplies are there. After every call when we use supplies, they should be restocked immediately after that call. But on occasion we have multiple calls, all running, one right back to back, and occasionally something gets missed. So this is our truck checks are our chance to just double check and make sure that everything that's supposed to be on the ambulance is there. And so this is just a big checklist that somebody runs through and just checks off every item, check, to make sure it's there. This is also the time when we go through and look for expired items. So lots of things like IV fluids, IV catheters, all the different medications, all that stuff expires. And so during these truck checks, we look at the expiration dates on those and make sure that nothing needs to be replaced. That's the end.